Are you doing dinosaur?
T-Rex is my favorite dinosaur.
T-Rex?
Yep.
All right, doing good. All right, was it loud in there?
Yeah.
Did it hurt your ears at all?
No.
So you're good?
Yeah.
Okay, good. He's on his medication right now. He's doing pretty good. Pretty stellar, I'd say.
Yay!
What is that?
Christmas tree?
Yay!
Light?
It's pretty light.
Yay!
Can you imagine if the little light sparkled?
Oh, you love it.
He'd be stimming like crazy.
Sparkle!
Sparkle!
Sprinkle.
That's your doggy purse?
Is it too loud? That's it. I'm out of here. Yeah.
Whoa there, buddy. Whoa, settle down. Settle down. Here you go. No, it's okay. Just breathe.
No.
Here, you want a hug? You want a compression hug?
I'm
Come here,
worried.
buddy.
No what?
It's okay, bud. Talk to me, buddy. Talk to me. Talk to me. You can play again. If you breathe, listen. You need to calm down. You need to calm down. Connor. Okay. Okay, take a deep breath. No, take a deep breath. Go like this. Do you want a hug? Don't. No, don't do that.
Ian, it's okay. You're still sad?
Look, Dad.
You don't know how to turn it off?
Doing myself.
Okay, it's all off now. It's off. There you go. You're okay. Just breathe. You better?
Go away!
No. Connor, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Okay, no, don't go inside yet. You need to cool down. You need to cool down. Here, stand over here. Together, calm down. Come here, Ian. Come here. Let's do it together. Hey. Breathe in. Breathe out. Deep breath. Deep breath. Like this. Deep breath. Deep breath. Let me see. That's good.
What do I do?
Stay with us and enjoy your last day of school tomorrow. Did you have a Christmas party today?
Oh, yes.
What did you do at your Christmas party?
I ate cookies and made an ornament.
That is so cool. Do you have your ornament? Can I see it?
Oh yeah, but
Did you put
it's
it
in
in
the
your
pack. Yeah.
Can you go get it for me so I can see it?
I'm still tired though.
Oh, can I see it tomorrow then?
Yeah.
You want to put it on the tree?
Oh
I
yeah.
think our tree needs another ornament. Can you go get it?
Tired though. Look, I'm not gonna be it.
You can do it, Ian. Good job.
Why are you angry? I'm still worried.
Thanks for redirecting him. Hey everybody, meltdowns, not very fun to watch, I know. There is a reason why we do videos like this. I know a lot of people just are like, hey, don't portray autism that way. Just show rainbows and sunshine and stuff like that. But it does serve a purpose. It's very important to show this side of autism for those who are caretakers of autism, those who go through this, who have autism themselves. We've actually had a lot of requests for meltdown videos. I don't personally like doing them a lot because I feel like it can raise a lot of questions and concerns for people who don't know that much about autism, even though we're trying to educate. So there's kind of a fine line there. There's just a lot to it. It's exhausting to do videos like this, show our kids like this. I certainly don't want to make examples out of our kids. This isn't about getting revenge for their bad behavior, because it isn't bad behavior. Similar to showing someone with Tourette's or someone in a wheelchair or someone with fibromyalgia or Parkinson's disease or anything like that. It's to educate others about what those symptoms look like, not to shame them. What we want to cover in this video is about sensory meltdowns. A lot of parents don't like to ever put gray area with sensory meltdowns versus tantrums. They want to keep them mutually exclusive and have this big valley in between the two. But human emotion and sensory input and our biological response are much more complicated than that. I love the movie Inside Out by Pixar because it shows that I think she's a 12-year-old girl having her first mixed emotion. And sometimes that's how it works with sensory meltdowns and tantrums. You can have both at the same time. I bring this up because some people have a hard time telling the difference between the two, and sometimes they're actually the person who has the episode is experiencing both at the same time, kind of like how you can be hungry and angry at the same time. We call it hangry. Yes, there are times when these things are mutually exclusive, when we have sensory meltdowns versus tantrums. Most books, publications, this is what I'm talking about, a lot of publications, and I'm not getting paid to review this book or anything like that, but a lot of publications that have to do with autism and sensory processing disorders use the terms synonymously rather than exclusively. I think a lot of people tried to separate the term tantrum from meltdown because a lot of parents got fed up with people saying, oh, all kids throw tantrums. Like, what are you talking about? It's not every kid has tantrums. You're just trying to excuse bad behavior. And so many parents of people who have autism, I think, got sick of that they are trying to separate the terms and say, no, this is a sensory meltdown. It's because they have too much stimuli, too much input, and they can't regulate it, and so they just start melting down. And I think the more severe the autism, yes, that's the case, but like with my kids, Ian was our only child who was diagnosed on the severe border, but he's gotten a lot better, especially with medication. That's something you should look into if you're having a really hard time with meltdowns. So generally, the higher functioning the kid, the more chances they have of a regular, typical tantrum, okay? They're just like any other kid, right? We could do a whole video on the key differences between a typical or neurotypical temper tantrum and a autism sensory meltdown. But basically, the simple things to keep in mind are this. When you see your child looking back at you for a confirmation, if they're very clear in their speech and they're not slurring their speech, if you give them what they want, not that I'm recommending you do that, but if you just tested them and you gave them what they wanted, and then the bad behavior stops. If their whole thing is a show just to get you to do something, that's a tantrum, a typical tantrum. If they're slurring their speech, if they are verbal, and they're just they look like they're in pain, they're having a really difficult time, if they're doing things like drooling or hitting themselves repeatedly, or just having looks like the worst day of their lives, they're probably having a sensory meltdown. Again, it's not always easy to tell because what might start as a tantrum could lead into a sensory meltdown because they're getting worked up. So yeah, with tantrums versus sensory meltdowns, it's not always easy to tell. It's kind of like a sneeze or a stomach ache. Was the sneeze caused by pepper or a dust allergy or a cold? At first blush, it's not easy to tell. Same thing with a stomach ache. You don't always know what caused it. So a lot of people might be wondering, based on what they saw earlier in this video, 6 stages of a meltdown, aren't there 3? And what they're referring to, and a lot of people call it different things, but it's basically that bell curve that you see. And the 3 stages of meltdown are basically rumbling, rage, and recovery. It's basically the same bell curve. This one goes into a little bit more detail, and that's why I'm using it. This book actually
was intended for teachers, and but it applies to home life as well. The basic takeaway is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of medicine. That is to say, prevent the meltdown from happening in the first place. I'm sure you've heard this many times before. You just have to be sensitive to the signals that they're giving. If you see a lot of hand flapping, gnawing, gritting teeth, fussiness, all the things associated with autism, overstimulation that we're used to seeing, they're probably trying to say, hey, I'm not having a very good time right now. That's not always the case, but just look for those signs. And if they become increasingly fussy, it means they're probably going to have a meltdown soon. So things like blankets over the head, if they want it, headphones, a tablet with their favorite video game on it, or maybe a YouTube video they really like. There's all sorts of things you can do. If they go into full meltdown mode, there's very little you can do except get them to a calm and quiet place. We painted our boys' bedroom blue. It has dark curtains. They can just go in there and regulate and calm down, and it could take 15 minutes. It could take several hours. Some meltdowns last several hours, and those are really, really tough to deal with. But it's better that you have a place for them to go so they can regulate, and then when they've recouped, they can come back out, and it's just like nothing ever happened. We've actually had our son, our oldest, have these terrible meltdowns, and it's like he knows what's happening, but he's almost a spectator in his own body. And so when he comes to and he realizes what's happened, he'll come up to us and he'll be like, Dad, I'm so sorry I did that. Like, I don't know why I did that. And we know why he did that, why he was having a sensory meltdown, but he feels like he doesn't have control. And that's a really hard thing to watch when your kid doesn't feel like they have any control over their own body. So yeah, this video might have been a little disjointed, but basically we're just trying to help those who are dealing with this. It's sad because people often assume the worst of us. Like, hey, you're just trying to turn your kids into some kind of sideshow by putting them on YouTube and online and showing these behaviors. And I assure you that's not what we're doing. That's not our intention. We love our children. And we want to help those who are dealing with this too. Any other tips and tricks, please leave them in the comments to help out the community. And as always, thanks for watching and supporting the channel and the cause of autism. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.